Good morning, everybody. This is Ganesh. So we can start our session after a few minutes. So all of you, please maintain the silence in the class. Okay. So we will start our class after a few minutes. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. This is Ganesh. I hope my voice is audible to everyone. Now I try to share my screen also. Please try to verify once whether it is visible to you or not. At the same time, is it my voice is audible to you or not? So please try to check yourself once. Okay. Can anyone please respond through chat box? Then I continue my session now. So at present also only 54 members, but I try to start my session. Because every day most of the time is wasting for to join some other members in the class. Okay, so may I start my session now? Is it my voice is audible to everyone? May I continue my session? Yeah, thank you. Just wait, I will start my session. Thank you, thank you. Please just wait 1 minute. Hello. Hello. Okay, thank you. I hope my voice is audible to everyone now. So now I try to start my session. Yeah. I hope my voice is audible to everyone. Hello. Okay, I continue my session now. I hope my voice is audible to everyone. Now I try to share my screen also. Okay. So please try to verify once so whether it is visible to you or not. I hope screen is also visible to you. Okay, now I continue my session. So in the last classes, so we are discussing about what is a data model, what are the types of data models, and how we are viewing the data, what are the types of users. So these type of topics were discussed in the last classes. Am I right or not? So but these are very important in the exam point of view. Okay. Now today we are trying to discussing about the what is a dbms structure. What is the structure of dbms? Okay, this is also one of the important question. So in the last classes we are discussing about so file system versus dbms, another one advantages of dbms, another one drawbacks of file system, another one discussing about types of users, and discussing about we are discussing about data models, and we're discussing about view of data. So that means data abstraction. So I hope the screen is also visible to you. So here we are consider three types of data abstraction. So that means whatever it may be, the data is available in the database. So that can be described in three types of ways. So the first thing will be related to the how we are storing the data into the database. So that will be referred to as a physical schema or internal schema, okay, or low level schema. So why? Because here the main thing is where there is no necessity to giving the details where we are storing the data. So that's why this can be referred as a low level schema. Okay. And another one is the conceptual schema. So that means here we are based upon the concepts. So that means what type of data is we are stored into the database. So that can be referred as a conceptual schema, and what type of relationship is existing with the data. Okay, so that can be also referred as a conceptual schema or logical level schema. Okay, so next one is the external level schema. So that means or view level schema. So that means it can be providing different types of views from the same type of data. So that means the same database can be giving into the give the details into the different types of formats. So that is nothing but external schema. Okay, so we're all discussing about this. Just I'm try to remember this. Okay, and we are already discussing about data independence. What is the meaning of data independence? If the data is independent, so that can be referred as the data independence. So that means if you are performing any modifications, so that type of modifications not giving any type of problems to the upper level. So that can be referred as the data independence. For example, here we are consider two types of data independences here. So that means one is the physical data independence and another one is the logical data independence. Okay, if you are performing any type of the modifications in the physical level, okay, so those type of modifications not creating any type of the problems in the conceptual level. So that can be okay, that can be referred as a physical data independence. Please just wait 1 minute. Okay, if you are performing the modifications in the conceptual level, so those type of modifications not giving any type of impact onto the its higher level. So that means view level. So that can be referred as a logical data independence. Okay, so these are nothing but logical data independence and physical data independence. Okay, and we're already discussing about what are the differences from the logical data independence and physical data independence. Just to try to read once. So in the case of logical level, it is a high level of the data independence. It is related to the conceptual schema, wherein different logical view of data are provided to the different users. Am I right or not? So that means first of all, here explain. So what is a logical data independence? It is a high level data independence. In the case of physical level, it is a low level. So second one, it is related to the conceptual schema. It is related to the physical level schema. Am I right or not? So so that means how we are storing the data into the database. So third one, the changes are made to the conceptual schema without affecting the external schema. The same thing, logical data independence. Here, so these type of changes are not affecting to the logical data independence. Just we try to read here once. So the changes are made to the external schema without affecting the conceptual schema. So here, actually here mistake is here. So actually logical data in logical level, okay, conceptual schema. So that the changes are made to the external schema without affecting the conceptual schema. Here the name is wrong. Actually, the changes are made to the physical level schema. So without affecting conceptual schema. Actually, that is the right. Modifications are done at data structures such as entities, attributes, relationships. So we are all discussing in the ER model. So what is an entity? What is an attribute? What is the relationship? Okay. So what type of data is stored into the database? So that can be related to the logical data independence. So we are identifying what is an entity, what is the attribute like this. Okay. So in the case of physical data independence, here we are mainly based upon to the storage devices. So modifications are done at data structures such as storage devices or switching are based upon indices. So it provides the data integrity and data effectiveness. So data integrity means, so we can able to insert our required new conditions. So in the case of this one, it provides data optimization or data reorganization. So nothing but here how we are retrieving the data easily. So in the case of conceptual level or logical data independence, it defines relationship among the data by using simple structures. So before storing the data into the database, here verifying what type of data it is and what type of relationship is with the existing data. Okay. So in this type of way, here we are identify so many drawbacks, so many differences. Okay. And another one is the application programmer must maintain the information about logical organization. So that means before storing the data into the database, first of all, verify which type of data it is. In the case of here, application programmers are need not maintain the information about the physical organization. Okay, so that means this type of thing will be done by database administrator. Okay, next, the implementation details are not visible to users. The implementation details are transparent to the users. Okay, and it is difficult to maintain and it is easy to maintain. So these are the differences. Okay, in the last class also we are discussing about all these type of topics. So now we try to discuss about the DBMS structure. So if you know about this topic, we can able to answer three types of questions. Okay, first of all, we try to see, so what is the structure. So here, so this one is the related to the types of users. Okay, types of users. So that means here, if you observe here, so this diagram having the completely three parts. Okay, so the first one is users. Okay, second one is nothing but query evaluation engine, and another one is the storage manager. So and the last one is database. So these are the three parts. Okay, if you observe here, we are already discussing about different types of users. What are the types of users? Sophisticated users, naive users, application users, okay, specialized users. Am I right or not? So if you are observe here, so we are able to easily understood. So the types of users also. So this level is completely focused on the types of users. That is the first level. If you observe here, so unsophisticated users, that means customers, travel agents, etc. So that means why here mentioned unsophisticated means they are naive users. So what is the meaning of naive users? Which users not having the programming knowledge. So that type of users can be referred as naive users. So at the same time, we can refer as unsophisticated users also. Why? Because they are not having any type of the programming knowledge. Then they are based upon one interface. Am I right or not? So that will be here. So SQL interface. And another types of users is sophisticated users. Sophisticated users means, so these users based upon to the queries to solving their problems. So that means they can understand what is the situation and they can generate, so which type of query is needed. Okay, and another one is the application programmers. So these type of programmers can able to insert the functionality of SQL into the some other language. So at the time of the situation, we are based upon to the application. So that means here actually we are seeing one for one language. So that can be connected to the another one. So that means that can be used into the one application. So that is nothing but application front ends. And in some type of situations, we are based upon to the web applications also. So whatever it may be, here we are using the directly SQL query, or we are based upon to the application, or we are associated with the web application. So all these are nothing but in the form of commands. Am I right or not? So those type of interfaces having front end at the same time back end. So front end means those are maintain the graphical user interfaces. So that means easy, so friendly user. So that's why even though they are not having any type of the programming knowledge, they can easily interacting with the functionalities of the database. So that means those are in the form of SQL commands. We already know about what is a SQL command. So what is SQL? Structure query language. Am I right or not? Okay. So now, so these commands are received here. If you observe, so these type of commands are collected in the first level. Now these commands executed by the query evaluation engine. Okay. So that means here, so I think the name is implies. the name is implies here we are consider the four things. One is the plan executor and parser, operator evaluator, and optimizer. So these type of things are having the query evaluation engine. In the exam point of view, asking also how the query will be processed. Can you explain step by step? So that means whenever the commands are received by the query evaluation engine, then it will be verified. So in which type of way we are executing the commands. That is nothing but plan executor. So next one, parser. So nothing but decides the hierarchy. Next, optimizer. So nothing but these are executing those type of commands. And query evaluation engine or operator evaluator. So this can be verified which type of command it is and how we are executing that. So after executing these commands, then the results will be stored into the database. At the same time, so those are will be send to the users also. Okay. So next, so when we are storing the data into the database, so that means once the data is stored into the database, the data will be written to the disk. Okay, so that means maintains the permanent storage. Okay, so that means we can retrieve any number of times. At the same time, we can recover any number of failures are also occurred. Okay, so that means in some type of situations maybe occur transaction failures, maybe in some type of situations occur hardware failures. Okay, whatever it may be the situation, so once the data is written to the disk, so we can retrieve any number of times. Okay, so if you are observe here, the type of the thing will be done by the recovery manager. So completely this part will be referred as a storage manager. So nothing but this manager is responsible for to storing the data. So I think the name is in place. Recovery manager is used for to recover the data. So whenever occurring the system crashes. Okay. And here also we are based upon the files. So at the time of the situation, here we need to maintain different types of access methods, maybe sequential file accessing, or maybe random access file accessing, or maybe hash based. So like that. So those type of things are related to the file and access methods. And next one is the buffer manager. So this is responsible for storing the data. And disk space manager. So that means this will be interacting to the database. Disk, actually this is the disk. So disk space means nothing but it will be retrieves the data. So this is the responsible for to retrieve the data from the database. And transaction manager, so that means once the for example whatever it may be the operation of the database, that can be referred as a transaction. So what is the meaning of transaction? It is a series of actions. Okay, so how these are executed, whether these type of actions are properly executed or not, verified by the transaction manager. And lock manager, so when we are based upon the shared data items. So for example, if it is a railway reservation, so it is a single database, but more number of users are accessing at the same time. So when one of the user performing the right operation, then another user is not allowed to perform the same operation. For example, maybe we are selecting one train on some particular date, so maybe the same date and the same train and same time is not accepting for another user. So that is nothing but through the with the help of lock manager. So completely, so when we are allowing more than one user at a time, so without occurring any type of the conflicts, so that is the responsibility of concurrency control. So in the exam point of view, asking what is a concurrency control, so in which type of you are maintaining the concurrency control. So that means whenever more than one user is access the same type of data. For example, in the library, so maybe database textbooks are maybe available only 10. Then how the 10 books are able to share with the 200 students? So first of all, one student is reserved for that particular textbook. Then the textbook is not available for remaining students up to 15 days. Am I right or not? So that means here we are issuing one lock for to that particular shared data item. So in the same way, here the lock manager is responsible for to issuing the locks. So whenever more than one user is accessing the same type of data, so that is the responsibility of lock manager. So this type of concept completely referred as a concurrency control. What is the meaning of concurrency control? So whenever more than one user is accessing the same type of database, so that type of the thing will be referred as a concurrency control. At this time of situation, we need to maintain So data, so nothing but data security. So in some type of situations, when we are allow more than one user at a time, so there is maybe the chance of occurring the loss of data also. Okay. So next one is the database. So these are here index files. So nothing but here some indexes are used. So those type of indexes are used to retrieve the data uh, within the time. So nothing but based upon the index only, we are easily retrieving the data from the database. And next one is the data files. So when we are storing the data into the database, that can be stored into the different types of files here. And system catalog. So which type of operations are performed up to now. So those type of things are here mentioned here. So completely this is nothing but database structure. So I try to repeat here. So first of all, we are considered three types of users. Three or more than one user. So those are nothing but sophisticated users, unsophisticated users, application programmers, and another one is the database administrators. So whatever it may be the user, so that user uh, finally the whatever it may be he is giving the input that can be converted to the one SQL command. So whether he is trying to creating the database or inserting the data into the database or modifying the data into the database or updating the data into the database, am I right or not? So whatever it may be, so that can be in one of the SQL command. Am I right or not? So that means some of the users directly using the query, some of the users based upon the application, some of the users with the some other language. So whatever it may be, finally the type of the request will be converts into the SQL command. Those type of SQL commands are executed by the query evaluation engine. So that means initially verify so which type of command it is and how we are executing that, and finally executing that query and the results sent back to the users. And at the same time, so we can saving the details into the database also. So that means once it is completed, so then it will be returned to the disk. So once it is returned to the disk, so it will be maintained the permanent storage. Okay, so that is also the another type of advantage of the database. So how we are these are retrieving the data from the database. So by using the transaction manager, lock manager, recovery manager, buffer manager, disk space manager. Okay, so all these are the responsible for to retrieving the data from the database. So this is completely architecture of the database. Just to try to see some of the points here. So the DBMS accepts SQL commands generated from the variety of user interfaces, produces query evaluation plans, execute these plans against the database, and return the answers. So nothing but here. So here we are receiving SQL commands, and these are executed and results sent back to the users. So that is the first point. So the DBMS accepts SQL commands generated from the variety of user interfaces, produces query evaluation plans. So that means how we are executing that. So execute these plans against the database and return the answers to the users. Okay. So the simplification of SQL commands can be embedded in host language application programs like Java or COBOL. So some other language. So we ignore these issues, concentrate on the core DBMS functionality. So that means here, so in some type of situations, we are based upon to the using the functionality of the database from the some other language. So that can be referred as a embedded SQL also. So that means actually we compile the C program, but that will be run the functionality of the database. So if we are run the Java program, so that will be run the functionality of. So we try to see with the example in the next classes. So don't worry about that. So how we are connecting to Java to the database or C to the database or some other language to the database. Just we try to see in the next classes. Don't worry about that. Okay. So whatever it may be, so that type of the request that can be in the form of SQL commands. Next, those are executed by the query evaluation engine and results sent back to the users. When a user issues a query, so the parsed query is presented to a query optimizer. So that means here, so whenever that query is nothing but issuing the request, so by the user, so then that can be presented to the query optimizer first of all. So which uses information about how the data is stored to produce efficient execution plan for the evaluating the query. Okay, so that means so the purpose of query optimizer is nothing but so how that data is stored and produce an efficient execution plan. So next, execution plan is a blueprint of evaluating the query and is usually represented as a tree of relational operators. So next one is the here
So nothing but here, we are observe here. So that means whenever the query is reached to the query evaluation engine, so next first of all performing the optimizer, so next parser, next plan executor, next operator evaluator. So based upon to this performing the execution. So nothing but here optimizer so verifies the what is the best plan to executing that. So plan executor, what is the best way to executing that. Okay, operator evaluator performing the execution. So then results send back to the users. Okay, so those type of things are represented here. So next, the code that implements the relational operators sits on the tops of files and access methods layer. So that means once it is executed by the query evaluation engine, then it will be based upon the file and access methods layer. Why? Because so the data will be in the available in the database only. So this layer includes a variety of software for supporting the concept of a file, which is in a DBMS collection of pages or collection of records. Okay, so file is here we can be referred as a collection of records. So this layer typically supports key file or file of 100 pages as well as indexes. So that means different types of methods. So one of the method is key file accessing, or maybe unordered accessing, or maybe indexes. So these type of methods are used to retrieve the data from the database once the data is written to the disk. And next one, the files and access methods layer code sits on the top of the buffer manager. So which brings pages from the disk to main memory as needed in the response to the read requests. So that means whenever so we are storing the data from the database or maybe in the database. So that is possible through using the buffer manager. So which brings the pages from the disk to main memory. So that means whatever it may be, we can try to perform the modifications or whatever it may be, we try to display the data. So that can be display from disk to main memory according to the request. So that type of work done by the buffer manager. For example, maybe we are raising some query. So how many members maybe got the 70% in the classroom? Then we can write one query. I'm right or not? How we are write the query? So select star from table name. For example, maybe table name is student. Select star from student. So where average greater than or equal to 70. Then display the details of the students. How many members greater than or equal to the 70%? I'm right or not? So that means where we are retrieving the data from disk to the main memory. Okay. So that thing will be done by the buffer manager. So the lowest layer of the DBMS software deals with the management of space on the disk. So we are already discussing in the levels of abstraction. So what are the levels of abstraction? So physical level, logical level, view level. Okay, physical level responsible for how we are storing the data. Logical level responsible for so what type of data is stored into the database or what type of relationship is with the existing data. And the last one is view level. So different types of views are provided from the same type of data. Am I right or not? So now, which is responsible for to the storage? So that is nothing but physical level. So the lowest layer of the DBMS software deals with the management of the space on the disk. So that means in the case of physical level of the abstraction, so here we are verify how we are storing the data. So that means this is related with the storage of the DBMS. Am I right or not? So that means the lowest layer of the DBMS software deals with the management of the space on the disk where the data is stored. Higher layers allocate and deallocate read and write pages through this layer called disk space manager. So here the responsibility of the disk space manager is nothing but retrieving the data from the database. Okay, so that means here, if you observe here, so once the requests are reached to the query evaluation engine in the form of SQL commands, so those are executed here, and after then, so the results sent back to the users. And once the data is nothing but here, once the execution is completed, then the results will be stored into the database. Then how we are retrieving the data from the database? By using either transaction manager, lock manager, recovery manager, or buffer manager, disk space manager, and using some different types of access methods. Okay, I hope all of the members able to understood. So what I'm saying now. Okay, the DBMS supports the concurrency and crash recovery and carefully scheduling the requests and maintaining a log of all changes to the database. So DBMS components associated with the concurrency control and recovery include the transaction manager, so which ensures that the transactions request and release logs according to the suitable locking protocol and schedules the execution transactions. Okay, so that means here just explaining about the what is the purpose of transaction manager. So what is the purpose of transaction manager? So nothing but efficiently executing the transactions. What is the transaction? A series of actions. What is the meaning of action? So nothing but it will be performing one of the functionality of the database. So that means, for example, maybe if we are consider different types of the applications of the database, what are the applications of the database? For example, maybe so that is nothing but banking application or maybe some online application. Am I right or not? So that means all these are we can read it as one of the transaction. For example, maybe if we are book some particular item from the online shopping site. For example, maybe we are booking some item from the Amazon or maybe the Flipkart. So then we receive one message. So your transaction ID is. So that means so when we are book some particular item from that particular site, so that can be also identified as a one transaction and the transaction having some ID and the transaction ID is not matched with some other transactions. So nothing but here maintains the unique thing. So that's why even though we are recharge our phone, so then also we are receive one message or transaction ID is like this. So for example, maybe if you are facing some problem in that particular transaction, then if you contact some particular customer care, then they are asking what is your transaction ID. So that means here the transaction manager is responsible for executing the transactions efficiently by the DBMS. Okay, so that is the main responsibility of database. Okay, and the second thing is here transaction manager is responsible for executing the transactions even though more number of users acting at the same time. That is also the main thing. Okay, the type of thing will be done by the concurrency control. Okay, in some type of situations we are performing the recovery also, and in some type of situations we are issuing the locks. So based on how we are issuing the locks to that particular transactions, so these are completely responsible for, so related to the transaction manager and recovery manager. Okay, next one is the lock manager. So what is the use of lock manager? Just I'm in the previous case I'm mentioning about this. Lock manager is responsible for issuing the locks or granting the locks onto the particular database objects which are so shared by the more than one person at a time. So at that time of the situation we are based upon to the lock manager. Okay. So if you observe here, which keeps tracks of requests for locks and grants locks on the database objects when they become available. So that means whenever, so we are based upon the shared objects. So then we need to use the issuing of requests of the logs. Okay. And next one is the recovery manager. So which is responsible for maintaining a log and restoring the system consistent state after a crash. So for example, maybe if any type of system crashes are occur, then recovery manager is responsible for to recover the data from that from that particular problems. Okay. Next, disk space manager and buffer manager and file access method layers are must interacting with these components. This is about database structure. Okay, so if you know about this topic clearly, then we can easily understood, we are easily able to understood three types of questions. What are they? So the first one is the types of users, and the next one is what is the purpose of query evaluation engine, and next one is the storage manager actually. So which type of things are we can consider into the storage manager, transaction manager, lock manager? So nothing but maintains the concurrency control, that one, and buffer manager, disk space manager, and recovery manager. So all these are related to the storage manager. So why? Because these are maintaining the storage. Okay. So next, database. So once the queries are executed by the query evaluation engine, then the results are stored into the disk space manager. Okay. So sorry, disk. Then disk space manager is responsible for to retrieve the data from the database. And buffer manager is, please wait here 1 minute. Okay. Please just wait here 1 minute. Okay. So that means here the storage manager is responsible for to retrieving the data, and this one is the database. Okay. So I hope all of the members able to understood this. So now I try to share another type of topic. Okay. So now I try to share another type of topic. Why? Because we are having 10 minutes. Okay. Uh, if any member is having any type of the doubts, you can ask me now. So otherwise, we can go to the next topic. If any member is having any type of the doubts, you can ask me now. So otherwise, we can end the session today. Please ask me now. If you having any member is problem, you can ask me now. All of the members is having the clarity about the data models and data abstraction and data independence, and another one is the database structure also. Is it having the clear clarity? Next, we are having next topics in this chapter. So that is nothing but one is the two-tier architecture, three-tier architecture, and client-server architecture. So those are the topics in the first unit. So I think in the next class we are able to uh, complete the first unit. If you hang any type of the doubts, you can ask me now. So otherwise, we can end the session today. If you hang any type of the doubts, and uh, I will try to give the first assignment in the next class. Okay. Some of the memories already given. Sir, can you share that PPT? Yeah. So I will try to share the screen. Don't worry about this. So after the completion of this class, I will share this PPT. Okay. Next, we are having only one topic. So one or maybe two topics from this unit. Okay. Next, we go into the second unit. Okay. Just now we try to practice some SQL commands now. So I hope all of the members install the Oracle XE in your systems. So just only how many members having the possibility in your homes. So please try to install that software in your systems. So why? Because I'm already mentioning about this. This is the one of the important subject in your total engineering. So why? Because this is the one of the easiest subject and one of the important subject also. Okay. So that's why better you should be having some grip on this subject. So otherwise we can't do anything. Okay. Now I try to share my screen. So to how to we are executing the commands. So how we are creating different types of commands. Okay. And then we can end the session today. Otherwise you can ask me now if any type of the questions. May I execute now? I hope all of the members able to see the screen. So first of all, here we try to search for SQL. So then you can see the run SQL command line. Then the screen is appear like this. Okay. So now you use connect. We're already giving the password is manager and the default username is system. So system/manager. Okay. If you giving like this, then the output is connected. Now you can use the queries of the SQL. For example, so in the last classes we are already discussing about DDL commands and DML commands also. So that means how we are creating the database, how we are altering the database, how we are drop the database, how we are update the database, how we are inserting the values into the database, how we are displaying the readers from the database, and how we are deleting the records from the database. So now we try to discuss today. So remaining comments also. So those are nothing but one is the DDL, one is the DCL and another one is the TCL. So what is the meaning of DCL? Means nothing but grant and revoke. So nothing but DCL means data control language. Okay, what is the meaning of DDL? Data definition language. What is the meaning of DML? Data manipulation language. So DCL means data control language. Here we are using two commands. So grant and revoke. I think the name is implies here. The grant will be giving some permissions. Am I right? So revoke means nothing but we return back those type of permissions. So now how we are grant the permissions. So before that, so we try to create the users. For example, maybe create user. So username. So I think before log into the particular database. So here we are identify this connect system slash manager. What are the username and password? Then how we are creating our we are allow the more number of users. So by creating the users, create username. So what is the username? For example, maybe here I am giving the my name Ganesh. Okay, Ganesh and identified by Ganesh. Okay, if I am giving like this, user is created. So what is the username? Ganesh. What is the password? Ganesh. So how we are creating the user? Create username identified by password. So that is the syntax. Okay. Now we try to give the permissions, grant all privileges to Ganesh. So grant success. So that means here the grant command is used for to give all the permissions. So now we try to log in. So connect. What is that user? Ganesh slash Ganesh. So now the output is connected. So if you're having any type of the doubts, I will try to close the screen. Okay. I will try to close the screen. Again, I'm search the SQL in the search. So go to the run SQL command line. Now connect not system slash Ganesh slash Ganesh. So I think you are able to see the output connected here. Okay. Now I try to create some table. Create table name is EMP. Okay, and the field names are E number and the database number and employee name in the data type of varchar of 20. So now I try to just executing this command, table is created. Okay, now I use the command is commit. So what is the purpose of commit? So that is nothing but save the changes into the disk. So that means after using the command, then whatever it may we are doing the performing the commands. So those type of results are stored into the disk. Okay. So just now I'm discussing about what is a grant. So now we try to discuss what is about the revoke. So grant is giving the permissions to the users. Then revoke is uh, nothing but collect back the permissions from the user. So which are assigned to the user. So nothing but removing the permissions from the user. Okay. Now how we are removing the permissions. For example, connect system slash manager. Okay. So now connected. So now the user is system. So now we try to revoke the permissions from the user. Revoke nothing but grant all privileges. Am I right? So revoke all privileges from Ganesh. So revoke success. So that means we are not able, that particular user Ganesh is not able to performing some other privileges like so just only he is a user but not able to doing anything. Why? Because here we are nothing but removing the permissions from that user. So these type of comments are related to the data control language, and we are having some other language also that is nothing but transaction control language. So those are nothing but commit, rollback, and save point. Okay, commit, rollback, save point. We're already using the commit. Then what is a save point and what is a rollback? So for example, maybe how many number of tables are existed in our table now? So what is the user now? System slash manager. Okay. So now I would try to use one command, select star from tab. So this command will be display how many number of tables are available in your username. So these are the available tables. Okay, so these are the default user tables. Okay, so now for example, maybe we are creating some table now. So create table, for example, student number. Okay, s name worker of 10. So this is the table actually. What's the problem here? Yeah, this is the open parenthesis table is created. So now we try to insert the values into the table. Okay, insert into table names to values. Okay, for example, maybe student number is 1 and the name is, for example, uh, here I'm giving Mahesh. Okay, student number, student name, only these two are the values. Okay, so now display the details of the table, select star from stu. Okay, now I try to update this table, update table name. Okay, so now I try to perform nothing but here we try to perform updation. Okay, for example, here we try to change the number, update what's the table name, stu. Okay, what we are set here, set s number equal to 11, where s name equal to Mahesh. So here I'm changing the Mahesh name is, so Mahesh number is 11. Okay, before going to that, select star from stu. So what is the number, 1? So now I try to use commit. Okay, commit, just I try to use the commit now. Okay, now I try to change this. Now I'm changing Mahesh number is 11 now. Okay, if you observe here, select star from stu. What is the number, 11? Okay, but if you are using rollback now, okay, now we try to display the table details, select star from stu. If you observe here, so student number is 1. Actually we are performing the updation, I'm right or not? But here these changes are not committed to the disk, but when we are changing the 1, so then here we are using commit, then those type of changes are written to the disk, commit complete. So that means what is the student number here, 1, even though we are performing some updation, but that is not written to the disk. So that's why if I'm using rollback, then again the roll number is 1. I'm right or not? I hope all of the members able to understood. So what is the purpose of rollback, means nothing but like undo operation. So whatever it may be, we are recently done in the Dbms, those that can be nothing but that is nothing but not done, undone. Okay, and we are having some other command also, save point. So for example, maybe we try to save this transaction, save point AA, then the particular action of the command, so that will be saved with the some particular name, save point AA. So like this. So that means we are discussing about data control language and transaction control language also. Data control language means nothing but grant and revoke. Grant is used for granting the permissions, revoke is used for removing the permissions from that user. And I'm also saying about that how we are creating the user. And another thing here we are discussing about nothing but uh, commit, rollback, and save point. Okay, so if you know, if you're not understood this, don't worry about this, I will try to repeat it in the next session. If any member is having any doubt about the doubts, you can ask me now, otherwise we can end the session today. So I hope I'm already crossing my time limit. May I end the session today? If you having any doubt the doubts, you can ask me personally also, no problem. Okay, if you having the system facility in your home, you try to practice some comments like this. Okay, I will now, and I will try to assign the works also. from the next session. Okay, better you try to complete those type of works in from your home. Okay, so man the session now. Okay, thank you Anandal. So we can meet in the next class. Thank you, Anandal.